Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro. I am Fisher, your host, featuring Chris McCarty. You can tell everybody I'm a kamikaze. Oh, I. I'm a kamikaze. Sharon, good morning. How is everybody doing? Welcome to the Wake.Show. My name is Chris Fisher. Hold on. Let me turn my TV on. Welcome to the Wake.Show. And today we are featuring the Wake.Pups. Wake.Pups. McCarty isn't in today, but the reason, you remember he's made a couple of mentions about how he's got some stuff to tell you, and he'll tell you after a certain date. Put that in that category, and so he's got some stuff to handle today, and no worries. It's me, you, Maribel, Elliot, Sharon, the usual. And the Wake.Pups today. Make sure you follow Roxy and Joey on Instagram, the Wake.Pups on Instagram, and we will be checking in with their adorable little sleeping selves throughout the show. All right. Happy Friday. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're looking forward to going into the weekend. And so what does RCS stand for? Let's start right there today. Because I've been teasing you for a couple weeks now that we have some announcements to make about the Awake.Show, that there's going to be a little, I've been alluding to there might be a little revamping. Oh, you're right. Thank you. I forgot. We got to share. We got to like it. I got to like and share. I don't know about you. You can just sit back and, but I got to do some liking and sharing if I want other people to know about the show here, and invite some friends if you could as well. Come on, the Wake.Show. So let's talk about what's at the very top here. Does your car have a name? It's ludicrous, but I figure I would give you a little taste of the future Wake.Show. Good morning, Pat Largo. And so I realized that out in the space. Hold on, because here's why I can't do two things at once. I'm half an idiot. So let me share the show first, and come on, there we go. Let me show the share for. Let me share the show first, and then we'll get into it. And there's me chatting. Okay, yeah. Oh, I don't know how you guys do. What an annoying voice. Shh. Man, I'm all over the place. Good morning, Cords. How are you? So, all right, so I shared on the personal page. You guys are sharing. You guys are liking, and so let's talk a little bit about that. So, there's a couple reasons why we haven't made some definitive announcements, and it's because there's still a couple things in the air when it comes to what the Wake.Show. It's not going to be like this huge revamp, and nothing where you're going to be like, what the hell, this isn't even the same show. I would say it's going to put it a little bit more in the category of just having some focus and having some direction. Oh my God, hearing myself talk out loud sometimes does this ever happen to you? Does it happen at a certain age when you're talking out loud? You hear the voices of your parents echoing, and like it's filtrating through the back of your head and finally seeping through after 40-something years. And not only at your parents, but other people around you. Focus and just pick a lane, Fish. Just pick a lane. Elliot, my car does not have a name. If it was my choice, my son wouldn't have. I like the world you live in, Elliot. You don't want to. I mean, listen. You're right. Names are going to pigeonhole people. Names are. Thank you. I forgot about that too. Let me get some light. Whoa. Good morning. Hello, light. Okay. So now that my ADD has got me, I think 3 steps off the path. Let's try to work backwards a little bit and see if we can get on track here today. So RCS here in the beginning. I wanted to give you a little taste of the future of the Wake.Show. So what that means is random conversation starter. It might turn to RCG, random conversation generator. And so now we can slow down and talk a little bit about the show. By the way, I've got this. I think I have some psychology here today too. Why it is that I have a story about how smart people name their cars. Smarter people name their cars, Elliot. So we'll get to that. To show just how non-smart you are. But one of the issues that we've had, and Chris has been, Chris McCarty has done such a great job of helping highlight this part of my experience, my growing, oh geez, now I'm sound like a hippie. My journey out here into non-radio land where there's video and there's lights and there's all kinds of things happening. Hey Chris, how are you doing? I hope things are going well today. Thank you very much for checking in. I was talking about you behind your back. I hope that, so one of the things that Chris has helped highlight with this show are one of these things that I keep getting jammed on doing these shows, because there's a part of me that goes, okay, well, if we're doing a daily show, then this is what I know. You pull the hot topics of the day, good or bad. You have your takes on them, blah, 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 right? But how many times have you seen with Chris in here going, oh my God, here we go down this path again. He puts on his hands over his ears or puts on his headphones and turns up the music because I'm getting ready to tell you about some horrible thing to happen to a child, in St. Petersburg, right? So this is a constant back and forth in my head, because on one hand, I do like the idea of going, hey, just because you have a show, it doesn't mean your show has to be about everything, good or bad. You could have a show where people can come and they know they don't have to deal with that stuff of the day. I don't have to be the purveyor of all the bad news. You can find bad news anywhere. It's not like you're like, oh, let's wait until Fish finally comes on sometime between 11:30 and whenever, and see what the bad news. You've already got the bad news of the day. You're not learning anything new by the time you get here late morning. So my car is Betty. I love it. Hey, thank you. I'm starting to get a little worked up. So let's get back to the original thing here. So one of the things we started doing recently is Chris is just like, put this I want to say stupid question, but basically the simple question up in the body, and let's something that distracts, and I like it. Where I know this is silly. Does your car have a name? But that's kind of the point. So here's the point of this: the future of the Wake.Show. It's going to start in a place that's not in the topics of the day. That's how the Wake.Show will start, not in the topics of the day. So we'll have a random conversation generator right there at the beginning. And that way, it's more like a good morning, how's everybody doing? You see what the random conversation generator is today. Just kind of type in something that fits, or it's nonsensical. But it's not going to get you worked up one way or another. And it's kind of like easing ourselves, but not even easy, because I think it's compelling too. It's fun. It's like, all right, I know that when I come to the Wake.Show every single day, yes, they may have to dip into these discussions, that are not always fun. But here's where we're going to start, and here's where we're going to end. So we'll start in a place like this with a random card generator saying good morning to Laura and Cords and Maribel and Lauren and Elliot and Jeff and everybody else that's tuning in. And then we'll see what's on the docket and get into we'll see what's happened. So there you go. There's a little inside look, a peek into the future of the Wake.Show. So and that's why Chris isn't here today. Like I said, and Chris, I want to make sure that you hear this if you're still here. Because just make sure. I told him that the reason that you weren't here today is because it's basically put this in the category of that stuff that Chris said he could say after a certain date. Put that in that bucket, and we'll come back to it at a later date. Car doesn't have a name, but the boat does. Baby boat. Oh, I love it. My car's name has been Edith, Sasha, and Roxy. That's funny. So I was going to put two questions up in the body today, and that was going to be, does your car have a name, and can you remember all of your car names going way back? I don't think my first car, like my Bug, that 1971 Volkswagen Bug, I don't think it had a name. I don't think my cars had a name until my first Pathfinder, and that car became Pathy. But interestingly enough, that was also when I got my first girlfriend. I believe she's the one that called it Pathy. And so I started calling it Pathy, and then naming all subsequent cars after that. Like the current car that I have is Mocha. Mocha Latte is her name. And that's because that's her color is something. Oh, Midnight Mocha is her color. Midnight Mocha, whatever the hell that is. And so her name is Mocha, and she's obviously a female. My last vehicle... or the last two. My last vehicle was Schultzy. Yep, Schultzy. And Schulte was named after the guy who sold it to me, a good friend of mine who unfortunately passed within like 3 or 4 months after selling me that vehicle. And so to me, every time I got in that vehicle, or I'd think of Schulte for a second. And when you're in those moments and Schulte saved your life, you tap on Schulte and go, thanks, Schulte. So Schulte was my vehicle for a long time too. And I was just curious. All right, so let's get to that story then while we're right there. And as far as the other stuff goes, we'll just figure it as we go today. All right, smart car. Now, this is coming from the Sun, so you can only put so much credibility into this. But why people who name and talk to their car are smarter than those who don't. Brother, my car was named F&K. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. Thank you for censoring yourself. That's very kind of you, James. My car was named because it kept breaking down. And it was cussing at it. Well, maybe if you called it sweet when it, something sweet when it broke down, it'd break down less. I feel like I'm turning this into something personal. All right. Why do smart people name their cars? So, Elliot, we're about to find out why you're not as smart as I think you are. Once described as childlike tendencies, talking to your car may not actually be as crazy as some people think. If you thought the University of Chicago professor has recently explained that people who name or speak to their vehicles are actually showing a sign of intelligence. So I guess before this, according to the headline, we're picking up information as we go, that they used to liken it to, well, you're still attached to something in your childhood, like when you were talking to your toys and and you need to let that part of your childhood go, let it mature so you're not talking to inanimate objects. Well, this professor's saying, hey, hold on a second. There might be something else at play here, and this could be a sign of a bigger intelligence. Now, I don't know anything else about this story, but I'm going to go ahead and throw out there that this is a University of Chicago professor, is somebody who names his vehicles and talks to his cars and is highly intelligent. So he's trying to figure out a way to make sure that those two things are linked. Back to the story. Their behavioral science professor, Nicholas Epley, described this behavior, known as a form of anthropomorphism, as the thing that makes humans uniquely smart on this planet. Anthropomorphism is the act of giving human form to attributes to an animal, plant, or material objects. All right. According to the human mind is programmed to see and perceive minds in objects and things like ourselves. When it comes to our cars, we often assign names and consider them so we are going to learn this together, and I'm going to read this through this, but I don't want to bore you with just reading, because without even getting into the psychology, mull it over for a second. Think about how our vehicles are a part of our identity. Now, for those of you, like say, you're from New York City and or big cities with mass transit, and you're used to that, it maybe not the same for you. But you look around the country where people have their own vehicles, and it is very much, for a lot of people, an extension of their own identity. Think about the bumper stickers we put on it, how we trick them out, or if you don't even trick them out. Like my wife Lauren, she is very, very specific about her vehicles. Which is understandable. We spend so much time in our vehicles, it protects us. Just because you have the unique ability to do something doesn't mean it makes you smarter to do that thing. I agree with you, Elliot. So maybe you're smarter than this story here. All right, back to this. So when it comes to our cars, we often assign them an extension of our own identities, cursing our vehicle when it's showing a problem like Crash did, and praising it when it performs well. I've done it a million times. All of a sudden you're almost in an accident. Whatever happens, things stop. You're like, thanks. You tap the thanks, Schulte. Thank you so much. For centuries, our willingness to recognize minds in non-humans has been seen as a kind of stupidity, a childlike tendency toward anthropomorphism and superstition that educated and clear-thinking adults have outgrown. This view is both mistaken and unfortunate, because I'm a professor, I'm super smart, and I talk to my car all the time. Sorry, I'm reading stuff into this story that is not there. I'm obviously projecting my own crazy. It might be hereditary. I don't name my cars either. Well, maybe you're lacking the looping skills with vehicles. Maybe when you look into the headlights and the grill of a vehicle, you don't see a face of a human like the rest of us do. So next time someone makes fun of you, all right, so here we go. It's a reflection of our brain's greatest ability rather than a sign of our stupidity. So next time someone makes fun of you for the name you gave your car or when you were 17, simply tell them you were anthropomorphizing. So I'm sure I botched that one. And see who has the last laugh. Oh, all right. I'm going to stick with my... If that's all the details we're getting, I'm sticking with my story. Unless Roxy or Joey can change my mind. Roxy, what are your thoughts? JoJo? All right. That's what I thought. Make sure you track down the Wake.Pubs on Instagram. The Wake.Pubs. I wonder if I called my old bug Herbie. No, I don't think so. Okay, so I did a little research and I was reading a couple of stories about this. And one of the stories I did see is that women, older people have baby boomers have a tendency to name their vehicles. So maybe it's not a younger generation thing for whatever reason. And, well, maybe it's because back then it was so special, or those, coming up with those generations, but I think even including mine to a certain degree, it was so special and not something that was automatic when you turned 16 years old that you were going to get a GD BMW. Sorry, obviously projecting on something else doesn't need to be in the conversation. And I surely do not need to be GDing anything. I see faces and everything, but I don't name them. It's best, Elliot. It's best. Just smile and nod and keep going. So where were we? Oh yeah, I don't remember now. All right, let's move on. Oh yeah. What I was reading. So I guess that maybe it makes sense because baby boomers and the generation before that. I mean, it was special, man. When you got a vehicle, it was a family vehicle. It wasn't everybody in the household had a vehicle. And then as soon as you turn 16, you got a vehicle. When I turned 16, I did get a vehicle. I paid half. It was the family vehicle, and it was like an $800 vehicle. I only had to pay $400 for it, and they would pay the other $400 to get it fixed or something like that. And so there was that little exchange in my household growing up when I was 16 years old. But, so I wonder if that is part of it, because then you think about my generation moving forward. It was expected. I mean, I guess even I at 16 expected to get a car at 16 years old. Not that I was going to get... I didn't expect it to be given to me. I didn't expect it to be a new car or something fancy, but I did expect to have a car at 16 years old. And, that's us children of the 80s. So even going past that, so I can see that millennials don't really name their vehicles. They don't care. They are coming into out of their lives like every other piece of technology. Do you name your iPod? Do you name your MacBook Pro? And the other thing that I saw in that article was that women over men have a tendency to name their vehicles. Women over men have a tendency to name their vehicles as well. So I find it interesting that I didn't start naming my vehicles until, at least to my recollection anyway, until I started dating. And that first girlfriend named one of my vehicles, and then that was it. I started naming them after that. That's right. That's right, Sharon. You're young. All right. Next up today, the NFL. So here they're going back and forth with these. The NFL and NFL Players Association freeze the anthem rules amid backlash to the Miami policy. So they're still trying to figure this out. They still can't make everybody. They tried. They should have just stuck to their gun. Oh, I guess they can't. All right. So I was going to say they should have just stuck with their guns. It was a compromise. You're not going to make everybody happy, but it was a good one, and you compromised to try to make everybody happy. But it's not that easy because the Players Association came back and said, no, wait, this isn't good enough. We got to do something else. So they have to come to some kind of legal compromise with the association there. So NFL's 2-month-old national anthem policy is currently on hold. This is coming from TampaBay.com. Hours after the Associated Press reported that the Miami Dolphins players who protest on the field during the anthem could be suspended for up to 4 games under a team policy issued this week. The league and the Players Union issued a joint statement late Thursday saying the two sides are talking things out. All right, working on a resolution. An order allows da-da-da-da. The issue has dominated headlines. The NFL rule was passed in May, and it forbid players from sitting or taking a knee if they were on the field or sidelines during the Star-Spangled Banner, but allowed them to stay in the locker room if they wish. The policy said teams would be fined if players didn't stand during the anthem while on the field, and the league left it up to the teams on how to punish the players. None of the team's policies had been made public until the AP obtained copies of Miami's 9-page discipline document. It included a one-sentence section on proper anthem conduct and was provided to the AP by a person familiar with the policy who insisted on the document being not being public. Wait, what? Because the document, they wanted anonymity because the document is not public. It classifies the anthem protest under a large list of that were detrimental to the club. And so the NFL required each. So it goes on there. So that's where we are. And they're back to looking at that policy once again in the NFL. Man, we've talked so much about it. What else is there to say? What else is there to say? I think the Players Association is trying. Okay, here's an opinion. Players Association should have accepted the compromise. Pick some battles. You know, there's a lot of battles out there that they're going to need to fight throughout the years, and this is a good compromise. You know, because in the end, you have to remember too that. Thank you, Cords. Thank you so much. You have to remember, too, hey, and welcome to all new listeners and whatever. My name is Chris. My name is Chris Fisher. This is the Wake.Show. I didn't even put up my little news thing this morning. A little multi-platform stream every single day, starting about 11:30-ish. It goes to about 12:30-ish. And yeah, so welcome aboard. Thank you so much for the likes and the shares. It's available on YouTube, Mixlr for the audio only, Twitter, Periscope, and now Twitch. And I'm going to be learning a little bit more about that coming up next week. I believe we're going to have somebody from Bake More Pies in who's an expert in these things. And I'm going to learn a little bit more about what the hell I'm doing. All right, exactly. Not a battle worth fighting. Right. I think so going back to my initial statement about the NFL, I feel like I'm not saying it was the best, whatever you get, but it was a compromise. So players, if you do feel strongly about something, go ahead and stay in the locker room, okay? And merely your presence not on the field will still be a distraction. It'll still be in the papers that day, later that day, that these are the players that didn't come out onto the field. And that's going to be a distraction too, because then some players will be like, will you leave me alone? I was getting my ankle taped. Screw you. But for those of you that come out there, we are then in performance mode. Once you walk out of the tunnel, we are in a different place. You leave, just like this. Well, on normal shows, you leave, Chris at the door and you pick Fisher up when you walk in. This show, I think, have been a little bit more lax with that rule. And I think I've let Chris leak out probably more than it should. But yeah, and I don't, and it's a compromise. Okay, there you go. But it seems like the Players Association is going to dig their heels in, and I don't know if it's because politically it's good for them, like they feel this is. I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's not over. Was listening to some talk radio the other night, and one of the observations that somebody brought up was that they'll have the "who's not coming out of the locker room" report. Like I'm not saying that I like the compromise is perfect. Well done, run with the compromise. It is a compromise. It is adequate, and the Players Association probably should have went with it. Otherwise, we're continuing to drag out this issue, and we got to remember too. This is not like this is an America sponsored event. This is business. Football is a business, and however you attach your identity to it, however I attach my identity to it, and our cars and that's between us and these inanimate things. But in the end, it's a business, and we have to keep that in mind too. It isn't like when you come to America, the NFL or football becomes a right all of a sudden, that you get to, that football comes along, playing sports comes along with being American, and all the rules that apply to fundamentally being American also apply when you're in the middle of a game. That's why we have games. It's because you want to change the rules, you want to control the outcome, or you want to control for something and then make everybody operate within these parameters and see how it plays out. make it a challenge, throw some things in there where you can keep score, let it play out. But it's a control. So there are rules there. So I guess we'll see how this is going to play out. Next up. This is just for you guys to sit back and fantasize about over the weekend. Now, you don't have to go play this. Just visualize that $422 million is coming into your life. You know, all right, so we'll do this exercise together. Oh, you're not visualizing. I'm watching you. $422 million. My, oh my, that would change things. Kids are not allowed to be punished for not saying the pledge. Sharon, as a teacher, do you think that kids should be forced when they're in school to say the pledge? Or do you think they should have that right in school to sit down during the pledge? But kids are not allowed to be punished for not saying the pledge. Man, there's a lot of double. I think there's a triple negative in there, science teacher. Kids are not allowed to be punished for not saying the pledge. Okay. Okay, so they shouldn't be punished. You don't want to force nationalism. That's just, I don't like that. Remember, we are a free society, a free thought society. So we have to do a better job of showing the kids each generation, not just beating in their head and going, if you don't stand up, then you're not an American and you're going to start to be an outcast until we get to the point that we make you our enemy and can't wait to go to war with you. It is understanding that, we're all youth is humanity in the making. And so you can have that authoritarian pound, you're going to do this or else. But know that thought, those feelings aren't going to go away. And so when they're not around you and, so doing whatever it is you want them to do, they are going to be doing the equal and exact opposite to make up for that shit you're putting them through. So no, we should not. I don't know what your opinions are. So I'm going to go ahead and throw out mine first. Sharon says, if anybody wins that Powerball, she wants kitchen cabinets. Can we all agree that if any one of us win this, then we're going to take care of something for everybody else that's here today in the kitchen cabinet range? It doesn't have to be huge. Kitchen cabinets, that's a big project. Anyway, thank you for the ADD distraction there, Sharon, because it sounded like I was getting worked up about something. Hey, how are you? Right over here. We'll get you set up. All right, we are going to have a guest today. Jen, go ahead and squeeze in there, and I think we should be just fine. All right, we're talking a little snitch and whatnot. So like I was saying, we've got... Thank you so much. Oh, Corge, I don't have a camera on. I set up you're going to have to lay down with Joey and drag a microphone down there. Well, you...
It's okay, I got it.
You got... Or just pull a chair next to her.
Yeah,
All right, cool. All right, we'll get back to that here in a second. So Sharon says, no kids should not be punished for not saying the pledge. I have a story about a boy that was beat when I was in third grade for not saying the pledge. Holy smokes. Yeah, so while they're getting set up for our guests, I get it. I get why okay, so for those that want to punish, so for that person there that beat that kid for not saying the pledge, I bet you if you were sitting, you put your brain, you stuck it in their head and you could see the world the way they saw the world, you'd be like, oh crap. I didn't know it could be so different for the way that I saw the world. And secondly, there's probably this association with sacrifice and respect and like all the people that came before you that died, that have that could have been cowardly, that could have went in the opposite direction, but went, no, I believe in something so big, much bigger than myself, and I believe that this new land, this America, is the place for those ideas, that I'm willing to die right now in this moment in order to fight for something bigger than me so that it can be passed on to my family and so on and so forth. So I can understand why there are those people that when they don't see somebody respecting the flag like they should, or like they feel they should, those feelings of resentment and anger and all that stuff to well up. But that's when you have to take a step back and do something else with that anger in that moment and go, okay, I that person isn't this or evil or that or and a person, and then something I need to eradicate, because that's all it is. It's your anger. It's so much anger for you to control that you can't think of a way to help that other person see the world the way you see the world. So it's just easier to eradicate that ideal or person. But especially going back to children, we have to understand youth is humanity in the making. Youth is humanity in the making. And in those moments, you go, how can I show this child? And that doesn't mean they're going to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance the next day. It may be a year-long exercise with this child to influence this child. So it's a year-long exercise to show them all the great things. The reason you'd want to stand up for that flag. Yeah, we got our shit. Oh, we got a lot of stuff to deal with. But man, we've got the best society in order to work out that crap. We have the best system, it seems, to date to work out that stuff. Reason number one to stand for the flag. All right, let's bring in our guest now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring in Cords Owen, the president of Bake More Pies here. And Jen, what's your last name, Jen?
Lalji.
Lalji. And you are I'm going to make up a title for you. I'm going to go with, let's see here, social media czar. Is that about right?
That sounds about right.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, I want to let you know why Jen is here. Last week, I wanted her boyfriend on. And you can set up who your boyfriend is here in just a second. But they ended up at a conference last weekend that was here in town that was basically geared towards the gaming industry, everything that's out there, the technologies, games coming out, everything.
What was it called, Jen?
It was called Guardian Con.
Guardian Con. Okay.
So Florida's premier gaming event.
All right. So Guardian Con, and one of the futures of this show is, believe it or not, these shows are going to be on these gaming platforms like Snitch, and we are on Snitch right now.
Twitch.
I like Snitch, though. That does have a ring to it.
It doesn't hurt.
Exactly why she's in here. That was purposeful, by the way. That was what do they call that?
Freudian slip?
No, performance art. That was performance art.
Got it.
And to show my ignorance on Twitch, I purposefully got the name of it wrong. Right, so.
It looks like we might be adding a new one, though. Tell us about that one, Jen.
Yes. So at this event, I actually got to sit in on this really interesting panel which spoke about Twitch. It had a few people that use Twitch, but also people who use the new platform called Mixer. So Mixer is owned by Microsoft, and it's similar to Twitch in that, you have live streamers who, build an audience, whether it be through gaming, but they have, open topics for, anything, any podcast really. And really, what the cool part about it is that you have live guests who are watching you, who are sending you messages and are really interested in asking you questions, and it's a really way to be engaged with them. And again, it's called Mixer. So I've actually heard that what Mixer did is it looked at a lot of users on Twitch that had a high performing of people who watch them, and they actually paid them to switch over to Mixer. So we feel that Mixer might be a really good platform to try out.
So when it comes to these new spaces, I'm obviously very familiar with, your Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, these new gaming spaces. Do you see that the future of stuff like the people that are trying to put out original live content on a daily or a weekly basis, is this going to find a home there, or we're not sure? We're just going to test things out and, see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think this type of communication online where you see everything happening live feed is really, it's going to grow. And one thing that they pointed out with Mixer is that there's the time frame, the lapse time that you get on Twitch. You don't have that as much on Mixer, so it's almost real time. So it's a great way to really get answers out to the viewers quickly and to really have this conversation building and growing. So I think that is the future, at least. That's what I feel.
Adam says, what about NARC? Or he goes, check out NARC. Let me do this. He goes, check out NARC, a great platform. Do you know that? You're familiar with NARC?
I'm not too familiar, unfortunately, but...
And in your opinion, getting in with these newer ones versus Snitch. Hold on, where are we again?
Twitch,
thank you. Sorry. So when it comes to Twitch, is that something that's oversaturated and something like this would get drowned out? Would we be better served to try to get into one of these new ones you're talking about, like Mixer or Caffeine or NARC maybe or something?
So yes, so that's one thing that they did talk about in this panel was that, people have been on Twitch for a very long time. It started off as Justin TV, where again a lot of streamers who played games would go on, and it picked up really quickly. But unfortunately, because there's so many people playing the same games, for example, I think the newest game that came out is the newest Destiny, and people are going crazy. And really, that's what was being presented at this Guardian Con was this new game, and people were trying it out. But games such as Fortnite, and there's so many a large saturation of people playing the same games that it's hard to be noticed when it comes to gaming. But shows like podcasts like yours, Chris, I think that it would be great if you try it out on Mixer, because I think that's one thing they did mention is that there's not a lot of adult content, that it's a younger crowd on Mixer.
Okay.
At least that's what they mentioned.
Oh, but then I have to try to relate. Then I have to try to relate to millennials and stuff.
Yes,
your age.
us people.
I don't want to do that.
So again, I think I just learned about this just last week. So I think Mixer, from what they talked about, and they really pushed up. There were so many people out there who were really interested in what my boyfriend does. So just to bring him in really quickly, he does a podcast called "There's No Such Thing as a Dumb Question," also known as My Dumb Question.
Wait, hold on. There's no such thing as a dumb question is the name of his podcast?
Yes, but he kind of shortened it, so it's now called My Dumb Question.
I love it.
On air.
Yeah, so what do they do? What
they do is they talk about basically dumb questions that their viewers are interested in finding out. One of the questions
does your car have a name?
Does your car have a name? That's a good one.
Yeah. Does your car have a name?
It does. It's called Starship.
Starship. I love it. Cords, does your vehicle have a name? Not your boat, not baby boat. No. All right.
No, I call it the GMC.
No identity attached to your vehicle?
It's either my car or the GMC. Okay.
Mine's Mocha Latte, but in all fairness, I usually just call her Mocha. All right, so back to your boyfriend.
Oh, yeah, sorry. So, again, so they talk about random topics that people ask them. So one of the topics they did cover is the Earth flat? So what they do is they take these questions that are deemed dumb, but they kind of answer them as scientifically as they can. They did all the research behind it. They originally aired on Facebook Live, but then they found that those numbers were not as true as they seem to be. So what they did is they switched over to Twitch from Facebook.
Really?
And then they found that the people on there were really, they would talk for about 4 hours, just a live show, 4 hours at night. And they found that a lot of their viewers were really sticking around for this time frame, a good 2 hours of watch time, really engaging with them, and they come back more frequently. So there's a very good chance that you get a lot of loyal viewers on Twitch.
Okay.
So that's what they've stayed with them. So they did transform from Facebook to Twitch. And possibly Mixer. We don't know yet.
I want your. So I need to text your boyfriend back because I want him on the show. I want to talk to him more. Well, does he have a partner too? I'll have them both on the show.
Yeah, so he actually has 3 friends that do the show. So a good friend of him he knew from high school, Danny, and then a good friend that he's known for about 15 years, Cordero. So it's 3 guys.
Great name.
Yeah. So they go on and they kind of just chit chat, and they really, they have a great time together. I think that's what the viewers like about it, is that they're just kind of talking back and forth. And again, they're really engaging with the viewers, which I think is important, because that's why the viewers are there, because they want to feel heard, they want to have their opinions spoke about. So I think that having Mixer have such a live feed, the
interaction,
can be a good.
I mean, that's obviously one of the things that sets this kind of stuff apart from what people have traditionally been interacting with concerning media via television and radio. TV, you could never interact with, really. Radio, you kind of could if you picked up the phone, you called the request line, and if they answered, and if they put you on the air, that whole thing.
Right.
But this is very interesting. I mean, think about it. The other day, we have a guest on, right? We have a Steve Weintraub on from Golden Diamond Source, and he has this, issue that he wants to talk about. And so this is a high-profile person here in the Bay Area, and I've got him on live talking, and I look over and I realize there's all you guys are asking him questions, and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't even think about this. I figure it's interview time. I turn over to the interview guy and give him my time. I look, oh no, hold on, before we get you off. There's a couple of people that have comments, but I'm only looking at the Facebook comments.
Right.
And we're streamed on 5 platforms right now.
Right, so you should be able to look at our Restream dashboard and be able to launch a chat page.
It doesn't work.
We'll need to figure out a way to get you more monitors.
So I'm opening it up for you right now.
Okay.
And so it's connected to 2 out of the 3, it's saying, and it's working on Periscope. So that'll come up in a second. Well, and maybe I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope we come back to this thing in a second. I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
it
hopefully
is
they
working.
fixed it. Yeah.
Hopefully they fixed it. But the only things we were getting, I think, were just one, like Periscope, the Periscope feed.
With all the bots?
And it was just bots. Ciao. hola, hello, or hello. You know, those kinds of things.
Right.
So, well, listen, do you have any other like professional thoughts on what we are doing here and what we're trying to do with a live show? Because this is a little bit different from gaming. I feel like there's a lot I could learn from the gaming world. Like if I had an opportunity to go to that conference with you guys last weekend, I have a feeling there a lot of things would have jumped out like, oh my gosh, we have to add that. We have to add that. We have to add that.
Right. So I guess, unfortunately, I didn't get as much from the streaming information that I was looking for at this conference. Again,
Okay.
It was more geared towards gamers and, really learning about the newest games and the newest techniques and all the good stuff that gamers would really enjoy thoroughly. But again, from what you're doing here, I think it's great. I think trying out Twitch is a great start. And then, again, maybe moving on to Mixer could be a really beneficial for you.
Can we play a game?
We could.
Sure.
Yeah. How do I spell Mixer? Because I have a feeling that it's not spelled the way that I think it's spelled.
It actually is.
It is M-I-X-E-R?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Well, that's not very millennial.
It isn't.
You have to drop both of those vowels at least.
That's true.
Well, thank you so much for coming by. I really
Of course.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, tell your boyfriend I'm apologizing. Well, I guess we just couldn't connect because last week when I could have him on, he was en route to going to the conference.
Exactly.
And let's book him and get him and either him or him and his partners on the show, and we'll talk podcasting.
I'd be interested to hear if there are any other podcasts that our audience really likes to watch.
That's one of the things Cords and I have talked about, or Cords has told me to do quite a few times. We started this. He's like, man, you need to have on at least one podcast guest a week. They have their own audience. They're out here in this space. You guys are, trying to figure this out together. Get other podcasters on the show. Let's go.
We've been one of the things I've been doing over the last couple of weeks is really subscribing to as many podcasting groups and those types of places as possible. And one of the things, just looking at the questions that are being asked and whatnot, it really gives me confidence in what we're doing in terms of, and maybe our audience can weigh in, but in terms of being able to have like multiple cameras, the audio sounds fantastic. A lot of the questions that people are asking are, hey, which $100 microphone is better?
Right,
and things like that. And it's like, oh my gosh, like we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars invested in. And it looks like it, and it sounds like it, and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, and Jen, he showed me something yesterday or the day before, and it was a link to somebody he knows, and it's a guy just staring into his phone, doing a Facebook cast, streaming, and he brought in another person, so you see the other the square, right, up there, and that's it, and they're just talking about whatever, and they've got, when I tuned in, there was 91 people watching, and this guy gets
engaged as
yeah. And watching for, like you said, an hour or 2 hours, however they were on talking about whatever. And so I'm asking Cords, what is it then? Is it as simple as a content thing? Because we've got all this cool technology, and that's one thing. This guy is just sitting here going like this, and
it's because of their content. Their content is the name of their podcast is Tour Junkies, Tour Tour Junkies.
Okay.
And what they do is they follow the PGA Tour, and they give advice on fantasy golf.
And this is one of the things that have been in my periphery, in the front of my not my periphery at all, right in my focus in this podcast world. Because what I know is general entertainment, right? Day in and day out. If you're going to do a day in and day out show, you're talking about the news of the day, the entertainment of the day, and having fun with it. But what I think that I've been learning over the past 5 years out in this podcast space is that those shows that are focused have a niche. It's different than radio. It's different than TV, where it's like in radio and television, it's mass communications. Like you have to throw out a casting net, right? And whatever fish you catch, you catch. Where it seems like out here, I don't know if that's going to work. We might figure out our way in this life, but I wonder if we got to get really specific, really niche with this, and then just jam it.
Yes, the answer is yes. So, like for example, James Golden, when we were meeting with him, he was like, "Man, micro-programming, that's where it's at." So we have to find, what is that real passionate thing that you follow and that you're into, and let's just get every single one of those people.
All right. Well, back to the drawing board then. Well, thank you both for stopping by today. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Take care. Have a great day.
Take care.
Leave the Wake.pups behind. Oh, Mia, come on. Or that Pepper. Come on, Pepper. Get in the shot. Over get the pup. See ya. Roxy. You come back here. Adam, the Dave Ramsey Show has nailed multi-platform distribution. You should check it out. man, there's a lot of stuff out there. It is. I don't want to say it's overwhelming, but it is. I don't want to say that it's overwhelming, but I will. It is overwhelming. And but we're figuring out, man. I've got a great partnership, and for those of you that have been watching, since the beginning, and Cords will pop in here. That is my partner in this endeavor. Really a great acumen. If you know that word acumen, it's a word that I learned a couple years ago when I was putting together resumes, and it has to do with kind of a vision over the way I visualize it is like, say you're in a sea of people that are all the same height. Everybody's 6 feet tall, and you're all jam packed. You're like at a concert. Everybody's the same height, right? You only have a certain sight line, a certain vision. But then there's a couple of those people in that crowd. Jeez, there's a couple of people in that crowd that are like 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall, and they have a completely different view of things. That's what acumen is, and Cords is one of those people. All right. So that is that then. Adam, that it wasn't. Never mind. I don't want to revisit that. See, I wasn't even joking then too. Because of the jokes that I'd made previously, I twisted everything in my head. And I was like, what was that damn thing called again? Twitch. All right. Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for being here this week. I really appreciate it. Thank you for hanging in there as we're putting the final. It's not even fun because, like, after talking to him again today, I feel like we're back to the drawing board, or at least I am. I just have to pick a lane. Just pick a lane, buddy. Just pick a lane. Because when he goes, well, we just need to. Here's what just threw me a curve, threw me for a loop again. As I start to get focused in on the niche of this show, what is the niche of this show? Then I have somebody that'll pop in my life who is very influential, like Cords, and say something like, so we just have to figure out what you are passionate about and get you passionate about it, and then then we'll find our niche through that. And in my head, I'm like, no, give me something to get passionate about. I've got ADD brain. I go all which way. You tell me what to get passionate about, and then point me in that direction. Then I'll just floor it. I'll go from there. So, I guess, do you guys got a couple? I mean, you do whatever you want. Obviously, you got control on your end. But if you want, if I want, I guess we could have an after show discussion. Because I'll give you, I'll tell you some of my thoughts. Well, all right. Question number one. If this is a Monday through Friday show, or what is it that a couple of the things you like? Do you how important are the issues of the day to the future of the Wake.Show? How important are the issues of the day? Meaning that when we come in here, we're talking about all the stuff that you and I heard on the radio, saw on television, read in our feeds that morning. Would you like the Wake.Show to be a Monday through Friday place where you go, all right, listen, here are the headlines of the day. Fish, we trust you. We like the way that you handle the headlines of the days and the issue of the days. Yes, we know there's ups and there's downs, and sometimes there's those long pauses of just, but we'll trust that you bring in the right headlines, and at the same time, you're going to balance it out with some of that positive stuff. You'll bring some of that fun stuff in. Your highest numbers have been when you have other radio people in those organic discussions. I was going back and looking at our numbers this morning, Adam, and there's some truth in what he just said, which is your highest numbers have been when you've had other radio people in. Those organic discussions are the best. No one cares about the news. No one cares about the news. Okay? You seem passionate about your country, freedom of speech, humanity, your wife, /pups, LOL. I enjoy hearing you talking about all of these things. I love the daily issues and hearing everyone's thoughts on them. Okay. In the end, if it ends up being, because see, Nikki, that's what I keep going back and forth. I go, so after Cords asked me that question, I go, you're right, there we go. Here's my passions right now. My passions are my family And if you're like, man, that's boring, that's fine, because you have to understand that my first 25 years in radio, family was not this. I was the center of the universe, right? And I had a great time. And I had some opposite of great times along the way, but a great time. Now, it's not like I don't want to live no, I don't want the lifestyle that I live, man, because of my personality, and then choices that we make. Man, I was going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, for a long time, and I don't want to do that anymore. I feel like that I've matured some, that I've gotten through a certain amount of life, and realized that if I were to continue, Nikki, you're so awesome. If I were to continue that lifestyle, let's say I cleaned up the drinking part of it, right? But I'm still going 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'm always working or thinking about work or my next move. I feel like I would have gotten to the end of my life, even say I had a good one, got to 80, 90, 100 years old. And I would have been one of those that looked back and went, damn it, for what? What? Every waking moment I was thinking about the next bit. How can I turn this into a stunt? And now that I'm here at the end looking back going, wow, I missed a lot of cool things along the way. So I don't want that. I don't need that. I did it. But so she goes, you seem passionate about your country, freedom of speech, humanity, your wife/pops. That is very true. I enjoy hearing you talk about that. I like the issues of the day. Maybe pick just one or two and then spend the rest of the time talking about something irreverent, like the greatest games of all time. So that will be an inclusion into the future Wake.Show. Like I was explaining there at the beginning, does your car have a name? I know it is. That RCS means random conversation starter. So we will start today. You'll see that there's a random conversation there that is irreverent. Did I say it right? And we weave that in. And also reminds us that, hey, yes, there's a lot of crap to talk about in the news. And we could spend if you want that, then you go to the deepest, darkest recesses of AM talk radio. And if you want nothing but fear and anger, fear and anger, fear and anger, you will find it 24/7. Fear and anger, control. I'm with Adam on this one. Great conversation with guests. All right, so Adam, back to that point. All right. All right, fair enough. We'll do this together. Hold, please. Definite aspects or attributes of the future Wake.Show. Random conversation starter to make sure that there's you didn't say irrelevant, right? It was irreverent. Is that the word? Irreverent conversation. It does seem like you guys do like that there's a place where we can discuss the news of this. So you woke up, you got the headlines of the day, you get to mull it over for a couple of hours until we come here and we'll bring up some headlines. I'll bring up what I think are the pertinent, or no promises on this one because the headline things are still something, but it seems that you guys do like the news portion of it. Let me pitch this to you. Because what I was thinking about was dropping the important headlines of the day and in calling the feature, instead of, if you guys are familiar with stuff you should know, instead of stuff you should know, which is the way we started the show, but making it fisheye news was what we came up with, and this is thanks to somebody else here at Mike at Bake More Pies. Fisheye news. So then the premise of that is just the stuff that catches my eye. The stuff that catches my eye. Fisheye news. So here, and I'm thinking, somewhere between that 5 to 9 stories that I just kind of have laid out. And it doesn't mean we have to hit all of them, and depending on how the flow of the conversation goes. But here are the stories that caught my eye that I feel like we can have some good conversation about. And it's not, and I'll tell you my thoughts are when I'm going through and I see the headlines about the death and the destruction. And I mean, there was another one today about, was it a 2-year-old? A woman beat her son to death, a 2-year-old boy to death because he peed his bed. And so I'm like, well, I want to talk about this one because I'm somebody who was a bedwetter until he was 10 years old. And there were some issues along the way. I go, man, I got some great stuff to say here. And I go, well, wait a second. Then I think of Chris McCarty, and go, I can just see him putting on his headphones and turning on his music and going, I can't, man. I don't want to visualize this because you start talking about this stuff, and maybe because of I've been in the media for long enough that you can turn off that empathy when you start talking about the most horrible parts of humanity, which you guys have been watching long enough to know that I can't turn off that stuff. But yeah, so can this show be something that somewhat of an escape for an hour from 11:30 to 12:30? But that feels too Pollyanna to me. I don't know. Don't forget about the Friday looking at the criminals and guessing what that is. Definitely the shame game is definitely in. Moving forward, shame game. So we could do the news portion because, like, say for instance this week, one of those topics that can be not easy to cover because it's just so polarizing, and that is this guy named Donald Trump. Okay. Here's a couple ways we can approach it. One is we find commentators, or I find those people that are pundits. I don't want to call them experts. People who think they know everything. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. But pundits, people who keep up with all the politics of the day and da-da-da. So when there are those times where all of a sudden Putin and Trump are meeting, right, in Helsinki, the next day we get on an expert to give us their take, right? And then after we get them off, you ask for more questions, do our thing, and we move on. And then after they're gone, obviously you guys will have your thoughts, and then we can sit there and discuss what they said. Or you go, no, because like Tim Bryce, who's a conservative columnist, unless we do that, then you have to bring out a conservative. Then you have to balance it out with a liberal. Then you're well, who's more credible? That person's not credible because of that. So we get into that. Or we go, you guys go, how about this? You've been doing this a long time. You've been, correlating, aggregate, bringing together the news of the day for a long time. We like the way that you lead conversations. And by the time you come on, talking about me, by the time I come on, we will have started some opinions because those headlines you're talking about, we will have heard earlier in the day. We'll start mulling it over. Then we'll come to the Wake.Show and kind of hammer it out together without people yelling at us and calling us an idiot or this wing or that wing. I don't know. We'll see. So news, you guys still like the topics of the day, but let's make sure it doesn't stay there or stay down. Work in the irreverent conversation, RCS. All right, so I think it's getting there. It's getting there. Charity asked, one of the things that I don't like, that I feel like I failed in, booking the guests, follow through, all that kind of stuff. But that includes charities. I want there to be an aspect. There's no reason that we can't be highlighting a charity of the week, or let's say it's personal. And I've been doing stuff with Pet Pal Animal Shelter in St. Pete for many, many years. And I just go talk to them and go, man, I want to make you guys our official not sponsor, but official charity. And so once, and figure out a way to highlight them in one way or another. What do you guys think about that? Joey, Roxy? Yeah? How you feel? That one on the left there, Joey, he came from Pet Pal. When we got him, he was when they got him, he was 4.21 pounds. He was so emaciated, so skinny, that he didn't even have enough muscle to keep his back straight. He looked like a weasel or a ferret or something like that. His back wouldn't stay straight when he was standing because he had no muscle. And so there's just, and then we fattened him up. Stay true. Do you. Stay true. Do you. Chris. I hate that that's such good advice. I'm starting to think that it's universe talking to me. Because that's what James said too. James Golden. And one of the things that stick out from that meeting, and if you guys are wondering who James Golden is, that's Bo Snerdley, the executive producer of the Rush Limbaugh Show, and very accomplished, very wise man. He looks across and he just locks eyes and goes something to the effect of you have to figure out what you want. What do you want to be? What do you want to be? And that goes back to what I was saying a couple minutes ago. It's like, there's a part of me that goes, just tell me what you need me to be here. Put up some parameters. I'll get focused in that direction and we'll just go that way. But it keeps circling back and going, no, man, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to think like that anymore. you've got a little something, believe in it, and just go forward. And then don't be ashamed of it. Own it. Be excited about it, whatever it is, and then just own it. Chris, those who are with you will follow you authentically. Don't do something because you think they will like it. As soon as you change, they won't think you are honest, and you will lose them forever. Well, Chris, in that thought is I was thinking to splitting up the kind of or me in two, so that I'll go back, because I have Fisher the Man, right? Fisher the Man 123 on Facebook that has 3,500 followers, and I don't do anything, with it. I don't do anything. And go, okay, I'll take all the me stuff, the Chris Fisher stuff, and all the stuff that you guys are talking about, and that'll be on Fisher the Man. So I can come on whenever I want, fire this thing up, and start talking about whatever is exciting me, right? Getting me worked up or whatever. Then the Wake.Show is, I think about chords. I think about the average viewer and all the corporate lingo that comes along with that, and go, okay, well, let's produce a show that is commercially viable. That is, so that it's awesome to look down and see 10 people are still here after an hour of me rambling. But that number needs to be 100 people, right? So I want to put together a show that gets to that. Oh, I see what you're saying now. You're saying yes, but if you truly stay true to yourself, those people will come. I'm still trying to talk to the people I talked to when I was on the radio, a certain demographic, a certain psychographic. So what you're saying is, get that out of my head, do me, figure out the common thread between Adam and Sharon and Nikki and Maribel, outside of blood relatives, and go, okay, well, here's your niche. People who see the world like this, people who think like that, people who gravitate like da-da-da. Now, we do that simple marketing that Cord is so great at. Go out there and tell everybody else in the Bay Area or in the world that, hey, this is a show where you can come for, talk a little bit about the topics of the day, not get worked up over them, or whatever it is, whatever that commonality is, that common thread. So do that. That's easy. You are both sides. That's the issue you are having. So and that's true. I don't have to. Actually, I think I'm about to read something into that wasn't there. But going back to what you said about bringing in other people to have conversations about this, yes, I do have that dichotomous nature about me. Sometimes they call it buy something. I don't know what it is, but we'll just say it's a dichotomous. No calling. Oh, call. Wait, what? Hold on. I got to open up my messenger. I'm getting ready to get a call from McCarty. Hold. All right, my messenger is open if you are. Oh, there you are. How come it's not showing up? Hold on, Chris. But there you are. All right, let's do this. Hey, buddy.
Yo.
How are you doing, man?
Man, I'll show you how I'm doing. You see this?
All right. So one of the things that Chris had to do handle today is that his washer and dryer broke, and so he cannot do his laundry at home, and that sucks, man. Because laundromats are also not famous for making sure that the air conditioner is set where it's supposed to.
Well, the thing is, I got there, and I need to get the heavy-duty big one. There's two of the really big ones,
all right? And
there's a line to use it, so I'm like, you know what I mean? It's just annoying. But yeah, back to what you were saying. This is what I think about all that, man. You've got this radio thing that's you, right? You've been doing it 20 years and so forth, and you've got fans that listen to that and like that, as they should.
Okay.
If that is geared more towards Fisher the Man, I say split that up and do that, because you also have the aspect of you, clearly with all the followers the Wake.Show has brought on, in following that guideline of what the Wake.Show needs with chords and Trey and everything else. You've got that as well. So I feel like as long as you are feeding, which again being authentic, feeding the side of you that's Fisher the Man, it won't be difficult for you to do the Wake.Show, because you're getting that out. Like it's like you're getting your nutrients there, you're getting nutrients, so it's like you're okay. I feel it won't be a problem. I think that's the big deal. It's like with me in music, I have to do music. I can't not do it. So the fact that I can do music, that's why I could come to the Wake.Show whenever I was able to do it, because it was like, well, I'm okay. I'm getting that out, so I'm okay. You know.
Thank you so much, Chris. Because that is an important part of this. Is because I need a place to be me, which sometimes means I need to say shit, or I need to talk about how I'm a little crazy today and things don't seem right. But at the end, I have to also think of this as this is a show that is supposed to be a show that's not necessarily. That is consistently okay. That is consistently compelling and entertaining. Those are listening, and I got to make sure that the Fisher the man stuff doesn't affect the Fisher the presenter deliverer of content guy.
Yeah, because you're going to be robbing the people if you don't do you at some point.
Right.
And you care so much about the listener, the viewer. You care so much about other people like that. That's where the turmoil is. So I think you've nailed it. I believe. And everything in me that you need to have two places to go.
Right.
And that's okay. You have a dynamic personality that has that. I mean, you know, me, I live at the beach. I have to walk on the beach every once in a while, and that's where I get a lot of the thinking done. Or on the highway. Traveling is a big deal for me. Like, I set up everything I'm doing when I'm on the road, and I'm just able to make that happen. And if your highway or your beach is Fisher the Man, then you need to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's make you happy. Because if you don't, you're not going to be happy. And I find an unhappy you is an unhappy everyone around you, man. You know, and that's the thing with everybody. I want everyone to understand that. Like, you have to make sure your happiness is paramount, man. Because if you're happy, then you can make everyone around in your world happy. And the people around you, you're living your life for them. It's not about you. It's about everyone around you. So the happier I can be, it's crazy thinking, but the selfish I can be to make sure I'm good, it's just going to make everyone around me better. And those are the people who are here for us. So that's my 2 cents, man.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being here with me. Here for me.
And like the timing, I mean, like perfect example to everyone, man. Like, I have so much going on because when I got back, I had the children. I haven't been away from them for that long. And I'm the kind of dad that's all in. I'm not cleaning while my kids are there. Like, I'm with my kids. And if they're taking a nap, I'm laying in bed with them taking a nap. Like, I don't get away from my children. And so when that happened, it was like I dropped them off at 9 o'clock, hit the gym, came to you, had a meeting, had a gig, woke up, and it was like, I got to catch up somehow. And because, you know, when I said I'm going to be there on this day, I come here and I was just going to take it on the chin. I'm literally walking out the door. And Chris hits me up with a text. It's like you're just in tune with the universe. Like, hey, if you need more. And I'm sitting here like, oh my goodness, that's just, you know. So again, that's what I mean. You're thinking about everyone around you and making sure they're okay. And because you're doing that, it's going to affect my children. It's going to affect my job. I'm going to be okay. And so, yeah, man, like that's what I mean. Like, you care about people. So thank you again for that. That's why I'm not here, everybody, because Chris was being awesome and making sure that everybody was okay. And I'm doing the same for you. I want to make sure you're okay. That's why I'm chiming in, sitting in the parking lot, waiting my turn to do laundry.
All right. Well, you get to that laundry. No, this helped me reset, too, so we can have a further this conversation. Thank you. I appreciate it. Love you, man.
Word.
All right.
Love.
Bye-bye. Okay. So here's what I learned from that, or here's what my takeaway is from that. Hold, please. And Pat Largo, I got a question for you, sir, if you're still there. So I think, Pat, you've heard some of what we're talking about here. That really helped to think, okay, to split. So this helps me share with you part of the dilemma moving forward. So I previously had the thought of, like I was just saying, so I split off a lot of the personal stuff. I don't know. Stuff like this, probably stuff like this, even stuff like this would be on Fisher the Man 123. If that's where, that's where I can go and talk about behind the scenes stuff. But the Wake.Show I want to put together because I have a business partner in this too. So I want to think of it in those terms, not just a place where I can come and get all my feelings out. I can do that Fisher the Man and then get focused coming in here and go, all right, now execute the functions of a show, just like I would do if I were on radio. Now, again, the kind of radio that I did allow for you to bring your personal stuff in. You get to, but there's a reason. You don't just get to bring your personal stuff in so that you can air it out and get people on the phone going, oh, you're right, and it's going to be okay, and you were right about that, and you're right, and you're right. No, that other person's wrong. You're right. No, you do it because there's people on the other end that can relate. Go, oh yeah, I've been there. Oh yeah, I feel you, buddy. So when you're telling your story, they are reliving their experience as well. But there's a line, and if you're somebody that's coming in all the time and talking about, man, my anxiety's just, I can't do it today. I'm going to sit here and wallow for 4 hours and play some music, then, you only get a handful of those before they ask you to go get some help and leave the building. So Pat Largo. So I'll have a place. I've got my Fisher the Man. I have a place to go and be me, do me, and talk about those kinds of things. So if you're you and you're putting together the Wake.Show and you were coming into Chords and you've been to these facilities, you see what I'm working with up here. You've seen our big psych room downstairs. What do you think would, in your professional opinion, something that is viable to the Tampa Bay market? It doesn't, even though I love the idea of an internet, because this is international, right? You can listen to us from around the world. It definitely has to have a Tampa Bay centric, a Tampa Bay a focus on Tampa Bay, or at least start there. At least start here, and we can work our way out. One of the ways that I visualize how this stuff is going to work in the end, because I think in the dealing with a lot of the business people that I've dealt with over the past 5 years, and they need to figure out how to take care of their clients locally. In my mind, though, thinking about what this technology is capable of, it's hard for me to go. It's almost like you're taking this amazing technology, a great laser beam that could carve your name in the moon, and then just pointing it at one little rock somewhere and going, hey, can you just point the laser at that rock? I'm like, wait a second, but you can carve your name on the moon with this thing. No, we just need you to point at that rock over there. So one of the ways that I visualize the future of whatever podcasting and live streaming and all this is that it's going to be like a donut. You have an inner ring and an outer ring. That inner ring will be your local direct, and so you'll think of you're going to approach your show in this way. How am I going to super serve my local community? All right, and then and then that outer ring. How can this be something that is where we're funneling people in from around the world? As well. So I don't know. Maybe that's not the way this is going to play out in the end, but that's where I am in my head. So the local direct part, we do a Monday through Friday show. I bring in you guys seem like you do want the topics of the day. We like the way that we handle those topics of the day. So somehow include the topics of the day, but don't stay there and wallow in it. We can get plenty of that on cable news and everywhere else. Ooh, you're right. You are right, Pat. So far, it seems like you guys like the shame game as far as a weekly feature. We'll keep that. Then, so the irreverent part can come from, maybe if that's where Fisheye News comes in. So we'll have kind of your stuff you should know portion of the show in the beginning. And then Fisheye News or Fisheye View or something like that later on, where I pick those headlines that are not going to impact your world at all, but they're fun to talk about or compelling, provocative, something like. But Pat brings up something interesting. Perhaps the Wake.Show on location, more live remotes, so to speak. You must be in the community to be a part of it. That is true. And Chords has done a great job. It'd be a chore to make this thing, to get this thing remote. But it's very doable. Okay. Internet a person somewhere else in the globe. Interview a person somewhere else in the globe. I like that. So this is part of that outer circle thing that I was talking about, because we can stay Tampa-centric, but I think we'd be missing out. Because at the same time, this goes to my overall... not my end goal or purpose, but something in that category of the impact that I want to have in my life and with this show. So if we stay too Tampa-centric, then it's almost like I'm continuing to perpetuate this narcissism that it seems like is a very... I guess I'm not talking about clinical narcissism. I'm not a psychologist. I'm using this as a lay term, as how self-absorbed we can become. And as I see us moving forward as humanity, we are getting more connected. There are a lot of fears that come along with that, and we're seeing those fears play out right now, holding back up to the groups that that kind of stuff. But we'll get through this, okay? And so I want to be one of the positive ones who are, as many parts of the world are contracting and circling the wagons, I want to be one of those that are reaching out and touching. So I really like that. I really love that idea where we feature, even if it's just once a week. So off the top of my head, a random person from another part of the world. Alexander is a great example. Alexander will view nearly every single day, and he lives in Russia. And it's pertinent. It's not even random. While we're sitting there and we have people shouting things, God, all kinds of fears. Are we getting ready? Is the Cold War back up and running? Did we just lose the Cold War? Are we getting ready to go to war? How about we just have a conversation with a Russian who is not a spy or a diplomat he's a person, a human. Hi, human from another part of the world. How's everything in your part of? What are the headlines in your that are not the national ones that we're talking about? What are the headlines in your part of the world? I love that idea. Because then it also helps us visualize. We can sit here and talk about all the stuff that gets us riled up during the day, but it visualizes that it stretches your brain out, stretches your imagination out, and reminds you that you're 1/7 billionth of the human spirit here on the planet. If you did more remotes, more people might be able to be live on your show. And I really like that too, Sharon, because if we do this right, then when we go do a remote, just like in radio, those places that we went and did remotes from, we didn't do those for free. They wanted that energy out there. They wanted that promotion out there, and so on and so forth. So if we get this down to a science of, packing this thing up, because, we don't have we'll get that down. All my cars have had names. I had Marvin Maverick, Stanley Station Wagon, Cecil Chevy, Cam Camry, love your show, and the pups. Thank you so much. And I'm missing a pup. He doesn't usually disappear. Oh, I see. He's going to get some water. We'll wait for Joey to move back into the shot now as he returns back to his resting spot during the Wake.Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Joey from the Wake.Pups. You can track down the Wake.Pups on Instagram, instagram.com/thewake.pups. All right. So I think it's a good start. It's not even a good start. It's kind of what I needed. I've been jammed up in my head for quite a few weeks now, ever since we had that conversation with James Golden, which has been 4 weeks. 4 weeks. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, when we come back, it needs to be this, and we need to have this conversation, and these things didn't line up the way that I wanted them to. So in my head, I just keep withdrawing, going, okay, we'll just wait until this happens, wait till this happens, wait till this happens, and then it never happens. And so I'm glad that today played out the way that it did, and we took this time here at the end to talk about the show, and Chris chimed in because I think it's going to help crack that nut. I'll move over, I'll fire back up, I've never really even populated it, Fisher the Man, to have my more personal Chris Fisher conversations with people. Fisher the man, not Fisher like the man, I'm the man, it's just Fisher, a man, a dude. Fisher the Man 1, 2, 3. And then the Wake.Show, we will turn into a show. So that if you don't, here, damn it, we're going to keep going. Because here's what you need to think like. Think of a person that doesn't know who I am, doesn't care about my dogs, doesn't care about my personal life, and right? That's the person I want to do a show for. Now, Fisher the Man is where I get a chance to be me and do this stuff, right? But the Wake.Show I want to put together for those, like you could pull me in or out, and the show still would go on the next day. There's a format to it, and You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of where my head is. So I don't want to put together a show just for, Sharon and Pat. And you guys are here. You love me. I mean, like, care for me, not love me as in you think I'm the greatest. You care for me. You want to see me do you well. You enjoy this conversation. But I need to put together something, or we need to put together something that you guys are proud of too. So you sit back and when you see it later, go, oh my God, I remember that first 150 something shows, what it was, and look at it now. Holy crap. That looks like it's competing on the national level. It's competing on the international level with what's out there. All right, a couple things before we go here. Michael, before the internet, I only had propaganda about other countries. I spoke to a gal in China just by accident. I noticed she was wearing Levi's, and I told her I heard her government would not allow that. She said that wasn't true. Oh, there's Johnny Torres calling in. I can't. Hold on a second. Let me answer. Hey, Johnny, you there? Hey, I'm still on the show, so don't cuss or anything. We're live.
You're still on the show?
No, we're still live. We're still on the show.
Oh man, all right. Show going good?
Yes, the show is going good. I'm sorry that I didn't call you back. I set an alarm, then I went to call you, and I was food prepping, and by the time I got done with it and sat back down, I forgot that I was supposed to call you.
It's all right. Give me a call after the show.
All right, I will. All right, bye. So Johnny Torres, there you go. We're talking about the evolution of the show. Johnny Torres is the one that started the show. There's no way that I'd even be here today if it wasn't for him. Tell us something you learned from your dad, please. 3 things, go. All right, you guys can load that bad boy up. Also, Michael, so this also reminds me of something that I've been tossing around, and that is using you guys. Because there has been a core group of people here that have been here from the beginning. Some of you have known me for a very long time and following along for a very long time. And not only that, but along the way, you guys know people like this, like a person in China. So if I bring in Alexander and we just chat it up with somebody in the other part of the world, and we think, this of a Russian or that of a Russian, and you realize, oh, wow, this is a human being just like everybody else. Because still, when I think of Russian, or when you say Russia, if you just throw a Russian at me, well, I'm a kid of the 80s. So my Russian, that imprint is your Rockies and Red Dawns and Rambos, right? So I know, it isn't like when you mention Russian, all of a sudden going, oh, I'm ready to fight. It's not that at all. It's just all, there's a certain stereotype that would come along with whatever movies I grew up with. Dude. All right. Yes, the vendors would pay you because you are popular and would bring in a lot of people. Well, that's another thing, Sharon, because I don't know how many people I can bring in right now. Like, are we still building something here? Or if we're going to go, hey, this next Friday, join us at wherever we're going to do this live, and we promote it properly, will we get some people out there? I look back at radio, and sometimes in radio when we do those things, people wouldn't show up. So and what I learned is you just never know. You think sometimes you walk into a gig and go, man, this one's going to suck. It's on a Thursday out in the middle of here, and da-da-da-da-da. We don't have any good prizes. There's no way. And next thing you know, it's just jam-packed. And there's other times you got a great promotion going on. You're giving away tickets to this, front row passes to that, and you have 2 people show up, and it's the same 2 people. I just asked you to stop the convo of ideas and share with us something about. Oh, were you? I didn't know you were talking to me, Chris. I thought you were setting up something else in here for those people to throw out. Like, put 3 things that you loved about your dad. That's what people want to hear. Learn, share you. Well, now we got Cords. Hello, Cords. You're on the show now too.
Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Good. Do I need to wrap things up?
Are you still in the air?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, call me when you're done.
All right. Fine. All right. So that's to call me when you're done. I guess I have to wrap. I should have wrapped a long time ago. That's what people want to hear. Share you, dude. Okay. All right. So a personal aspect. I still like the way that we split this off, but a personal aspect, but not one where I'm just sitting here talking about me. Like Chris said, share 3 so that you guys are sharing things too, and I'm sharing things as well. That's fine. I like that a lot. All right. So what was let's go back to the question then. Let's see. Tell us something that you learned from your dad. Please, 3 things, go. One of the things that I learned from my dad or picked up from my dad that I always thought was amazing was his accountability. No, you could count on him. And one of the stories from his childhood that, resonated with me as I grew up was like he made it from like the 3rd grade, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th grade, all the way through high school without missing a day of school. Went to school every single day. And so that's something. And, even starting the show. We started the show. There's no sponsors. There's no sponsors right now. I'm coming in for free. And since we started this in the beginning of November, I've missed one day early on, and that was it. So that's one thing that I picked up from my dad that I try to live up to is that, the life is a grind, and you got to, you got to just grind it out. Even though in the worst of times, just grind it out. Even if you're not going to be at your best. Actually, even during those times, you go, I'm not going to be at my best today. No, you are going to be at your best. The best you can do in that moment. Get out there and grind it out. Get out there and grind it out. So that's one thing. I didn't appreciate as a kid the provider that he was, that I appreciated as an adult, and make sure that the food was on the table, and that, you know, you're a mailman raising a family of 4 kids. So that's a, you know, total of 6 people in the household, and you're a mailman. But the provider that he was, I also appreciated later on in life how much he came home, because I know he wasn't necessarily the happiest. You know, he was somebody who came home and had a 6-pack, you know, once he got home, and watched the game, you know, watched whatever's on TV, you know, tuned out his crap and went to bed and got back up and did it the next day. But for a lot of people on Friday night, their dad didn't come home. They're like, you know, listen, I need this night. I'm sorry. And they go and they get shit-faced somewhere else. So I appreciated my dad was always there. That's 2 things, 3 things. And that I was, the baseball thing pops in my head, the first thing. And that is throwing a ball with my dad, the importance of interacting with your child and playing with them, even when they're annoying you, is another thing. And then baseball was one of those things with my father that that bonded us too, because, you know, you could sit there and talk about what the Braves did the night before, but most of that time was spent him in a chair, me on a couch, and we're watching the Braves play, and you're making your comments throughout the game. And then later on in your life, you know, you rarely see your father get emotional, but when he does get emotional, it's usually over some sporting event that's going on. So yeah. And then what happened? Oh my God, you're right, James. I'm so sorry. All this talk today, all this yammering, I never even did get to the shame game today. It's Friday. I didn't even think about that. It's Friday. Way off my game. And no, we're not going to the shame game. I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'm going to call Johnny Torres back and Cords and get the and do what we do, or whatever. I don't know. Do what I'm going to do. Yeah, Sharon. Thank you. All right. So another takeaway. Okay. So another thing for me to think about, because Chris goes do you in the show. I'll still be me. It's not. I'm not going to be a robot. But I want to put together the Wake.Show where I don't overshare me. Right now I overshare because this is a catch-all for everything I want me to be, or I'm trying to make it that anyway. You know, a place where you can go just be authentic, be real, and yes, it's being recorded and broadcast live around the world. And if you slip up, if you say something wrong, you get caught on it. But that's fine. I don't mind that. We can talk about it. But I want to develop something. Oh, Chris, maybe. Like I said, I want to be able to develop something where, yes, as I'm the host, or however that's going to play out, there will be a certain expectation. Yeah, we'll share stuff, you know, and whatever. But I want to be able to also, you can pluck me out of it, stick somebody else in, and still execute the basic functions of the Wake.Show, whatever the Wake.Show is going to be. And I mean, so we'll work in it's just bobbing, it's balance. Bring in some of the personal stuff, but it's got to be controlled, Chris. It's got to be controlled. I got to prep for it. You know what I'm saying? Meaning I know what the question is going to be today. Like, say, tell me 3 things about your dad, or 3 words that would describe your dad, or something like that. I love that idea. So it's got to be something like that that's planned, because if it's just left up to me, you don't know those mornings that I wake up and it feels like the world is crashing around me. And in those moments, and I'm just going to sit in here and go, we'll just go back and watch many of the shows you've already watched, and you'll see that. So, all right, we'll figure it out. Well, thank you so much. The shame game. Criminals, it's Friday. The shame game. Can't forget it. Well, I'm late, so I'm going to go. Thank you so much for everything. It's Florida and raining. Easy pickings. You are from Ocoee. I love you, man. Have a great weekend. Take shrooms over the weekend. Open your mind. Well, thanks for the advice, James. Appreciate that. I've got a wedding tomorrow. Maybe I'll... Could you imagine? All right. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Random acts of kindness. Don't forget, thank you, Chris McCarty, for hopping on. Good luck with all the stuff you have to handle today, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.